When it comes to boxing, power is the great equalizer. It only takes one shot to change the course of a fight. And some punchers were so dangerous that opponents were beaten before the bell rang for the first round. From crushing knockouts to devastating one-punch finishes, boxing history has seen some of the most fear-mongering knockout artists, whose power alone won multiple championships. 1. Mike Tyson. Professional boxing record, 50-7. 44 knockouts. At his peak, Mike Tyson was without doubt the most feared man on the planet. He combined unnatural power with lightning-fast hands and a ruthless finishing instinct that made him the most dangerous heavyweight in history. Tyson didn't just knock opponents out, he annihilated them, often in seconds. His blend of speed, technique, and sheer force created some of the most iconic knockouts in boxing, utilizing his duck and hook to generate a terrifying power shot that had one objective: render the opponent unconscious. From the moment he burst onto the scene, Tyson looked like a force of nature, and he was quick to prove it. He became the youngest heavyweight champion ever at just 20 years old, knocking out Trevor Berbick in a 2-round demolition. His early fights did the rounds on television in the same way as a viral video on the internet would today, as fans tuned in to see how fast and how violently he'd end things. Tyson's power was real, but what made him number one was how he delivered it: fast, violent, and without a shred of mercy. 2. George Foreman. Professional boxing record, 76-5. 68 knockouts. George Foreman was a walking wall of destruction. In his prime, he was perhaps the most physically intimidating fighter the sport had ever seen. Towering and powerful, Foreman threw punches that looked slow but landed like a freight train. He crushed Joe Frazier, a world champion with an iron chin, twice in under 7 rounds combined, and destroyed Ken Norton inside 2 rounds. These were elite, proven fighters, and Foreman manhandled them. His power wasn't just about speed or explosiveness. It was about mass, leverage, and a raw force that seemed to shake opponents to their core. Even after a 10-year retirement, he returned to boxing in his late 30s and regained the heavyweight title at 45 by knocking out Michael Moorer, proof that power is the last thing to leave a fighter. Foreman's fists weren't just weapons, they were a long-lasting seismic event. 3. Ernie Shavers. Professional boxing record, 76-14. 70 knockouts. Ernie Shavers is known to many as the hardest single-punch hitter in boxing history. His record of 70 knockouts, many of them terrifying in their brutality, only tells part of the story. Ask Larry Holmes, who said Shavers hit him so hard it felt like his ancestors got hurt too. Holmes also controversially stated in 1977 that he believed Shavers' punches to be a cause of Muhammad Ali's neurological issues. That is the kind of power this man carried. He was a raw, no-nonsense puncher. He wasn't the most technical, but if he landed clean, it was almost always over. Even when he didn't get the knockout, opponents left the ring bruised, battered, and full of respect for the danger he posed. Shavers fought in a golden age of heavyweights and still stood out as the division's most dangerous hitter. The fact that he never won a world title doesn't make a difference to how feared he was. His fists were championship caliber and everyone knew it. 4. Deontay Wilder. Professional boxing record, 44-4. 43 knockouts. Modern-day boxing had long craved a heavyweight with the frightening power Deontay Wilder possessed, and his arrival didn't disappoint. With 43 knockouts in 44 wins, Wilder is the proud owner of the highest knockout ratio in heavyweight boxing history. His right hand is boxing's ultimate equalizer, capable of ending any fight regardless of how it was going. Wilder doesn't rely on technical finesse, he's made a career of doing the exact opposite. He's proved time and time again that one punch is enough. What makes Wilder especially scary is his belief in his power, and lack of regard for what it might do to his opponent. Even when he's being outboxed, as seen in fights with Luis Ortiz and Tyson Fury, he can produce a devastating punch from nowhere. It is not just power, it's the sniper-like precision the Bonds bomber has when finding the moment to detonate. His stoppage of Ortiz in their rematch is a perfect example, losing every round, then winning the fight with a single right hand. Wilder's power is borderline supernatural, and he will be feared by everyone until the day he retires. 5. Sonny Liston. Professional boxing record, 50-4. 39 knockouts. Few boxers have inspired the kind of fear Sonny Liston did. With an 84-inch reach and sledgehammers for fists, Liston had one of the best jabs in boxing history. His most dangerous assets were the basics: a stiff jab, a chopping right hand, and the physical strength to bully anyone in the ring. His destruction of Floyd Patterson in back-to-back first-round knockouts proved how devastating he could be at his best. Liston's punches were delivered with a level of menace that made even elite fighters crumble. Though his title reign and 28-fight win streak was cut short by Muhammad Ali, his raw power and intimidation factor remain legendary. Even in defeat, opponents remembered the physical toll Liston took on them. He didn't need wild flurries, just one or two clubbing shots to end things quickly. He was a force of nature and a real-time nightmare in boxing gloves. 6. Rocky Marciano. Professional boxing record, 49-0. 43 knockouts. Rocky Marciano is the only heavyweight champion to retire undefeated, and his record is a testament to his extraordinary power and tenacity. At just 5 feet 10 inches, with short arms and a crouching style, Marciano wasn't supposed to dominate the division. But his relentless work rate, stamina, and pulverizing right hand made him a clinical finisher of fights on the biggest stage. Suzy Q, his looping overhand right, overwhelmed bigger, more technically sound fighters through sheer force of will on top of brutal body punishment. His knockout of Jersey Joe Walcott remains one of the most vicious right-hand finishes ever filmed. Marciano wasn't flashy, but he was brutally effective. He broke bones, wore down opponents, and closed the show like no one else in his era. He is a legend whose punching power exceeded every expectation, and in the process, he rewrote heavyweight history. 7. Julian Jackson. Professional boxing record, 55-6. 49 knockouts. Julian Jackson had the kind of power that defied logic. Competing mostly as a light middleweight and middleweight, the Hawk carried explosive, one-punch knockout power that could rival the hardest-hitting heavyweights. His right hand was pure dynamite, capable of rendering an opponent unconscious the moment it landed, often with little to no wind-up. Jackson was never a volume puncher, because he didn't need to be. His fights could change instantly, even if he was losing. Just ask Harold Graham, who was comfortably ahead in the 4th round of their world title fight in 1990, before being wiped out by a single Jackson punch. Even though Jackson was a bit of a glass cannon, he had the ability to end a fight from any angle or distance. His highlight reel knockouts remain among the most replayed and respected in boxing history. He wasn't just powerful, he was one of the most explosive finishers the sport has ever seen. 8. Joe Louis. Professional boxing record, 66-3. 52 knockouts. Ring Magazine ranks Joe Louis as the second greatest heavyweight of all time, thanks in a large part to his impeccable timing, efficiency, and power. Known as the Brown Bomber, Louis had perfect fundamentals, but what set him apart was the way he delivered knockout blows with surgical precision. His punches were short, crisp, and devastatingly accurate. He holds the record for the most consecutive heavyweight title defenses, with many of those wins coming by knockout. Louis didn't rely on wild swings or reckless aggression. Instead, he broke opponents down with calm, calculated violence. His knockout of Max Schmeling in their rematch was a brutal first-round blitz, with Louis's avenging his first professional defeat and creating one of boxing's most iconic moments in the process. Louis's blend of technique, timing, and power made him a complete finisher and one of the most feared punchers of the pre-television era of boxing. 9. David Tua. Professional boxing record, 52-5. 43 knockouts. A short, stocky heavyweight with a granite chin and nuclear left hook, David Tua was a Samoan wrecking machine. Standing at just 5 feet 10 inches, Tua often gave away height and reach in every fight, but his compact power and aggression made him a nightmare to deal with for anyone. One of the most famous of his 43 knockouts came against John Ruiz, a future world champion, who he steamrolled in just 19 seconds. That kind of brutality became Tua's calling card. His left hook was one of the most feared punches in boxing, delivered with explosive speed and launched from a low center of gravity. Even when he was beaten over 12 rounds by elite fighters such as Lennox Lewis and Ike Ibeabuchi, Tua's threat constantly lingered. While he never quite captured a world title, his knockout reel is one of the most violent in heavyweight history. Tua was never out of a fight as long as he had another punch left in him. 10. Thomas Hearns. Professional boxing record, 61-5. 48 knockouts. Thomas, the hitman, Hearns might not have had the bulk of a heavyweight, but his punching power was every bit as lethal. Known for his explosive right hand, Hearns was a knockout machine in the welterweight and light middleweight divisions. Due to his unique build, Hearns was typically taller, and had a better reach than his opponents. This unique build allowed him to generate frightening torque, launching punches that most of his opponents didn't have an answer for. Hearns made his name by stopping legends like Roberto Duran for the first time, in just 2 rounds. Despite moving through 5 different weight classes, he carried his power with him each step of the way. Though his speed and timing were elite, it was the sheer destruction he caused with one clean punch that made him a terrifying opponent. Hearns was a rare example of a lighter boxer with heavyweight-level power, demonstrated over a remarkable 29-year career.